This new year, why not let Audible expand your life by listening? Explore over 1 million audiobooks, podcasts, and exclusive Audible originals that'll inspire and motivate you. Tap into your well-being with advice and insight from leading professionals and experts on better health, relationships, career, finance, investing, and more. Maybe you want to kick a bad habit or start a good one. If you're interested in learning how to master your emotions and hearing scientifically backed advice for using your emotions as a tool, may I suggest Shift by psychologist and bestseller author Dr. Ethan Kross? Trust me, listening on Audible can help you reach the goals you set for yourself. Start listening today when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
Sweetest little kid ever. For what purpose? Can you tell me that this is God's will for my whole family, including my stepfather, to be dead? After everything that you've tried to tell me, you can tell me right now that Jesus Christ, the Savior of the world, is on your side. You tell me that with all conviction in your heart, that Jesus Christ is on your side. Please.
I can't tell you that.
This is Gem State, The Trials of Chad and Lori Daybell, Episode 5, The Ties That Bind Us. We'll be covering everything that happened this week, week 3 of the trial. I'm joined again by Gem State producer Ryan Oswald. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, Sarah. We've got a lot to cover, which is kind of surprising because we had Monday off. Court was off on Monday. Mm-hmm. They were taking an administrative day, right?
Yep.
And then there's no court today on Friday.
Yeah, surprising to see how much we really did get through as far as testimony in just 3 days.
Yeah, pretty shocking because of the pace the prosecution is moving at, and I'm sure there's a lot of factors involved in that, but because of how much ground they're covering, prosecution told the Judge Boyce they needed to take today off, and so judge announced that Friday no court.
All right, so as you're listening to this, again, this is kind of the wrap up for this week in the trials of Lori Daybell.
Right.
All right.
Absolutely. So I think let's kind of just jump right into it here.
Yeah, let's dive in.
Absolutely. Beginning Tuesday morning, we had Zulema Pastenes. Is that how we're...
Pastenes, I believe.
Pastenes. Okay. She took the stand. Zulema was a friend of Chad and Lori's, and she was kind of in their inner circle, right? Mm-hmm. She was part of their crowd, their group.
Yep. Eventually married to Alex Cox.
Right. They were married for 2 weeks before Alex died, right?
Yeah. No, we're going to dive into it. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's start it off. So Zulema, a friend of Chad and Lori's. She was, again, a member of their inner circle. So Zulema, out of all the people we've heard from so far, she was a part of these teachings that Chad had, and she really took to heart overall what they were believing, and then regularly kind of participated in their casting sessions.
Right. The casting sessions, you'll recall if you followed along since the beginning, episode 2, we kind of started diving a little deeper into some of the beliefs that Chad and Lori have been teaching, right? Castings is where they believed that through kind of prayer, meditation, getting together in this group, that they would be able to cast demons out of people, right? Now, a lot of times that was people they just kind of deemed as they're possessed, right?
Yeah, and again, if you did listen back to our previous podcast, they had this scale of light and dark. So again, exercising kind of the demons out of those that they deemed dark. In order to be considered dark, they had to have a demon within them. But it was a sliding scale from 1 to 4. Again, 1 being the least demonic, 4, I guess, supposed being the most.
Right. Yeah, which was really interesting that I I thought was really interesting about what Zulema had to say, she really kind of did a deeper dive, revealed a lot more of the details of kind of what Chad and Lori were teaching.
Yeah, and we hadn't heard this before. So this was a big eye-opener for a lot of people.
Yeah, this was some new information. I think one of the things that will play here, Chad and Lori had told Zulema that if you ever feel physical pain or depression or anything like that, that's you being attacked by like a dark spirit.
Yeah, so if you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, you have a crick in your neck, demon.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, you stand up too fast, little dizzy, demon. So that's kind of an interesting thing. We've got some sound here we'll be playing different clips from throughout the week here from court. One of the things that was pretty interesting was Zulema explaining when she reached out to Chad. Let's take a listen here.
It'll be item number 23. Should be the top of the page.
Yes.
Can you go ahead and read that? That's you talking to Chad, right? Or you texting Chad?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Merry Christmas! Exclamation mark. I hope you had a beautiful time with your family. Could you tell me if I have weapons on my back? I think I'm being attacked again.
Okay. What did you mean by that?
Lori and Chad always taught that when you had any kind of physical pain or any emotional thing like depression or anything like that happening with you, that it was usually it was attack from the dark side, and that it was usually evil spirits attacking your body or your emotions.
And did you believe that?
I did.
Okay. And this particular occasion, you felt like you were having some sort of attack from the demons in your back?
Yes.
Okay. And did this resolve on its own, or did Chad do something to resolve that for you spiritually?
I don't recall this, so...
Let's keep reading.
Okay.
Let's do number 24 on that same page, page 3. Go ahead.
Hi, Zulema. I have captured and sealed away the evil spirits that were attacking you, and I have removed the weapons from you. I am healing the damage.
Okay. And did you feel like that actually worked, or do you think that was just hocus pocus?
There were times when Chad would say that he was doing some kind of energy work or some kind of taking all those spirits away, that I would actually feel better afterwards.
And this was one of those times, right?
Like I said, I don't recall this this conversation. So
okay, let's read
possible.
Let's read number 27 on that same page. This is you talking to Chad on a text.
Okay. Oh my goodness, I can move my shoulder blade now! Exclamation mark. Thank you! Exclamation mark.
Okay. And the first text was at 9:06 p.m., correct?
Correct.
And the text that you said you could now move your shoulder blade was at 9:22 p.m., correct? Okay. So in that 15-minute span, you feel like you were healed?
I felt better. Apparently, yes.
All right, so as you heard from Zulema reaching out to Chad, asking for his help. Now, she believed that she was being attacked because Chad and Lori had taught her that, again, anytime you feel that pain or depression, you're being attacked by the spirit. So let's talk a little bit more about, again, when they're bringing her into this, talking a little bit about healing or exorcising these demons? Because she was a key part of that, or at least that plan that Chad and Lori had, correct?
Right. Oh, from the beginning. So back when Lori was married to Charles Vallow, Lori had been telling everyone that Charles had a demon in him, right? He was possessed. And so she was part of that original group that started doing these casting sessions to try and get the demon the dark spirit out of Charles Vallow. She was there for 3 or multiple sessions, but they were trying to get, 3 demons out of Charles Vallow over the course of several months. Is that right?
Yep. Yes, that is. So, and, during these casting sessions, they're kind of, and that's the thing, if only you could be a fly on the wall during what was happening, because again, her testimony, it doesn't give you a really clear picture of what exactly these casting sessions looked like, the nitty gritty, which is something I'm really interested in knowing. But the interesting thing is that during these casting sessions, it was somehow impossible to get this demon out of Charles Vallow. Again, they keep on trying. And then eventually, Chad and Lori say that the only way that they can exorcise that demon is by destroying Charles Vallow's body.
Right. And apparently she also testified that Alex Cox agreed. And so there's a lot of kind of the groundwork, it seems like, is being laid. Gosh, we got the first demon out, but now there's this stronger demon.
It just keeps building. Like, there's no end.
Right. Well, and then they set it up to look like, because the first demon, who what was his name? Ned, yes. I have to say, just as like a side note, the names that they picked for these demons, they definitely got more creative as time went on, because it started with Ned the demon. They were pretty easily able to cast him out. By the time we get to number 3, his name was Hiplos. Is that right?
Yes, Hiplos.
Yeah. So apparently Hiplos was so strong, such a powerful demon, he could not be cast out. And so that's when they started talking about the only way to get rid of Hiplos was to destroy the body, so to speak.
Yep, getting rid of Charles Vallow.
Yeah. We will cover later on in the week, we did have several of the Chandler, Arizona police officers and detectives that were involved in that investigation. We'll be covering that kind of a little later on here, but just that it's really interesting to see. Kind of, here's the groundwork, and Zulema had a front row seat. She was a part of all of that from the early days. She was there with Melanie Gibb and Melanie Boudreau and everybody.
Yeah, and we want you to listen to this also, part of Zulema's testimony, because it really is a 180. And, she's a part of this. She's, in the thick of it. Then Alex dies, and it really quickly changes. So let's listen in.
At the time, I believed that we were doing something good to help get rid of darkness and evil spirits off of the earth. Now I believe that the intentions were different and very evil.
So your intentions were different and very evil?
No, sir. I believe that Chad and Lori's intentions were very evil.
In telling you that they loved you, that you were doing such a great job, that you were turning away these evil spirits, those kinds of things?
No, sir. I don't believe that. Those things that they were saying were evil. Manipulative, most definitely.
So again, that big change from, I believe in this is my destiny, to it's evil, manipulative, most definitely. She now is at least accepting this in some way, but she doesn't really detail of when that really changed for her.
No, yeah, no, I didn't see that. I think Zulema is kind of an interesting character because you can see even from her own testimony here, in the early days, she was a believer.
Mm-hmm.
She was part of all of the all of the casting sessions that we've been talking about. She was bought in. She was part of kind of that inner circle. But then she even married Alex Cox, Lori's brother, kind of at their direction.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Chad and Lori really putting the full court press on Zulema to be marrying Alex.
Right.
And also to move to Rexburg, Idaho. Again, keep in mind, they're down in Arizona at this time.
Right. And I think one of the most interesting points, and it's easy to miss because it happened kind of quick, one of the most interesting things, Zulema was asked by prosecutors between the relationship between Alex Cox and Chad and Lori. And then she said, oh no, he wasn't going to them for advice. He was going to them for direction.
Mm-hmm.
Because Zulema asked Alex, wait, you're going to move to Rexburg. Your family is in Arizona, your friends, your job.
Me. His future wife.
Right.
Supposedly. Yeah.
Right. What are you going to do in Rexburg? And his response was, I'll have to ask Chad and Lori.
See, that blind devotion. No questions asked, no autonomy. He is being led. He's acting like a sheep.
Right. Absolutely. I think this all goes to the prosecution's case, that they're laying down the groundwork that this was the conspiracy charge, right?
Yeah.
This is all part of a grander conspiracy. It started in Arizona, and that's why we've been spending so much time with that case.
Exactly. They're piecing together the puzzle, and now we're starting to finally see kind of that bigger picture of where that conspiracy took place.
Right. Maybe there's a little method to the madness, so to speak.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the last thing there from prosecution with Zulema was, I think they're also working to set up that, because first degree murder charges, you don't actually necessarily have to physically commit the murder to be charged with first degree murder. You need to be part of a conspiracy, or B, have direct connection to, you need to be the causal reason that murder happened.
Exactly.
But with intention. That's what makes it first degree, right?
Yes. Yep. You have to have that premeditation behind it.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing, and I think we're starting to see them lay the groundwork here through Zulema and through some of these other testimonies that we see that we'll get to here, but that Alex Cox was really a tool that Chad and Lori used quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, he married the woman they told him to. He moved from Arizona to Idaho. I mean, he did everything that they told him to do. Right.
Well, and we know that he self-admittedly, he shot Charles Vallow. We'll also get to an interesting thing coming up here, again, from the Arizona police. But when Alex Cox said he had shot Charles Vallow in self-defense, some of the evidence that the Chandler police there, the police down in Arizona, found does not look like self-defense.
Yeah.
We'll get to some of that here.
Not at all.
So yeah, who was up next here, Sarah?
Oh yeah, Colby Ryan took the stand next. And for those who don't know, Colby is Lori's eldest son, and it was a big one. Now, Colby testified that his mother, of course, Lori, called him on the day that Charles Vallow died to tell him that Charles had died, get this, of a heart attack.
There's something so obviously evil feels like maybe not a strong enough term. I feel like throughout this case, as we've been working on this podcast, that sometimes I just don't have the right words to describe it. But to call your son to tell him that his stepdad was dead, and then just to lie to him about how it happened, and then to expect he's never going to find out. Yeah, no, that's the biggest thing. And keep in mind, Charles was in Colby's wedding. This man was a big part of Colby Ryan's life. He was basically his father. He called him his father he did. In the testimony. Yeah, and many times. That's a really shocking thing. It's also really telling, maybe more to Lori's state of mind, that she felt like she could just kind of say whatever to whoever and then just get away with it. To think that, you think Colby's not going to find out that his dad was shot to death by his uncle?
Yeah, by his uncle.
It's just kind of mind blowing, and I think it also is really telling that Colby was here to testify really against Lori.
Yeah, Colby breaks my heart, if I'm being honest. I mean, we also talked too about Tylee's text messages. That's the next thing that he kind of went into after Charles Vallow. And again, for those just tuning in, there were texts from Tylee's phone after September 8th of 2020.
Right.
That Colby was receiving. And again, at this point...
Oh, of 2019, right?
Yeah, 2019. Pardon me. Yeah. No,
there's a lot of dates.
But yeah, no. He was getting text from Tylee's phone before, of course, before she went missing.
Right.
But also, he was receiving texts after she went missing.
Right. So Tylee would help Colby out with money from time to time, just as, bills came up or whatever it was. Now, he was reaching out to her asking for some financial help, right? She received Social Security payments after her dad died, Joe Ryan, who was Lori's, third husband? Is that right?
Yep, third husband.
After Joe Ryan died, she received Social Security payments, and that was obviously to help continue to support Tylee as she's a minor. She would graciously share that with Colby just to help him pay bills or to get caught up when he needed a little help. So but those text messages that came through, they kept coming after Tylee disappeared.
So yeah, and he started noticing some I'd say
irregularities
in how Tylee was speaking to him or texting to him. Let's listen in on that.
Be concerned about Tylee Ryan.
Yes.
What gave rise to that concern?
My conversations over text with her.
Okay. And what was it about your conversations in text with Tylee that gave you concern?
When I first texted her, I had followed up with a few different phone calls and FaceTimes. And then the texts I was receiving back were just in different language than how Tylee would type and talk, and just the way she used her punctuation and things like that. It was just different.
Okay. So was it fair to say you felt like it wasn't Tylee you were speaking with?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know approximately how long you continued to receive text messages from her after you felt like it changed?
A little bit after her birthday, on the 24th, September 24th.
Okay.
Okay, so if you look at the text messages from ahead of when Tylee went missing, you can tell she's a teenager. She talks like a teenager. She talks like a teenage girl. It's personable, it's conversational. And then we get to after September 8th, and then it starts to become a little more mechanic.
Very, very much so. And it's an interesting thing because even in text, especially with someone you're close to, someone you text with a lot, like your sister or a spouse or a really close friend, you start to learn their shorthand.
Exactly.
Maybe when they use an emoji, or maybe they never use punctuation or whatever it might be, but it's the little nuance of language, of, especially written language like that. And clearly Colby was picking up on that because he said something's not right here, right?
Yeah, definitely. And it just felt creepy. I don't know if that's the right word. But yeah, and it's an attempt to keep anyone who may have noticed that Tylee was gone. And the real question was, at this point before we heard from Colby, was who was texting off of Tylee's phone?
Right. I mean, obviously we can take a few guesses, but I think one of the things that really hurts a little bit here is when this was a blatant effort to cover up the fact that Tylee is missing. Again, how long do you think you're going to be able to... You think people just aren't going to notice that the 16-year-old girl is gone.
Well, and saying also that she and Lori's alibi at the time was that she was at BYU Rexburg. So Tylee was studying. She's off, she's busy. She's a freshman in college. She doesn't have time for us. And that was really the precedent that she was trying to set at that time.
Right, absolutely. Which I think just makes it feel that much more sinister. Mm-hmm. You're lying to your son. Ostensibly, we're assuming that it's Lori here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who else it would be, but we're assuming that it's Lori, who is texting Colby from Tylee's phone, pretending to be Tylee. And the part that really stands out is that this little ruse is part of what, because everyone noticed that JJ was missing pretty early on, and that was because Kay Woodcock, his grandma, was worried, right? She was not leaving the police alone.
Mm-hmm.
She sent the police to go do a welfare check on him. She's the reason that this ball really got started rolling here. Nobody was looking for Tylee, and a large part of that is because her brother, Colby Ryan, while he felt like this is weird, this doesn't sound like Tylee,
mm-hmm.
when he'd ask his mom, whenever she would actually talk to him, she would just brush it off, right?
It just hurts my heart for her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's no other way to say that. It hurts. And, yeah, I think this next part really kind of sums up, I think, exactly how Colby was feeling.
Yeah. Now, this phone call you're about to hear, it was recorded after Lori had already been in jail. So we're going to kind of step forward a little bit. Colby had just learned that JJ and Tylee's bodies had been discovered in Chad's backyard.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. You think you can hide from me? Probably because you murdered my siblings. That's probably why I'm still talking to you. Maybe you should understand.
I didn't. I'm sorry that you felt that way.
You didn't do anything, right? Mom, I have prayed for you in my worst moments. I have prayed for my siblings who swore to me were okay. I thought I could trust you. I thought that you were a completely different person. I don't know a murderous mother.
You can make judgments when you aren't there and you don't know what happened.
What happened?
Everyone's making their own judgments.
Mom, you've been shoving BS on my throat for a very long time. I'm going to talk to you.
You can be mad.
Sweet. Hey, listen to me. I'm not mad. Listen to me. Fine, listen to me. I've sat there and prayed. I can't tell you the amount of pain that I have felt from your decisions. In Jesus Christ's name, it kills me to watch you sit here and tell me this is a trial. It kills me to watch you take the victim's route and say that this shouldn't have happened to you. When you are telling me that Chad Daybell came into your life, and all of a sudden, everything changes. I'm talking about my spirit feels this. I prayed. I trusted you. I gave you every chance I could past my own limitations as a human being. I pushed past all of everything to try to get to you, to help my own mother. You lied to me, specifically to me, more times than I can count. To know that they're gone and you knew, and my phone's being texted by my little sister who's not even alive, my little brother who's the sweetest little kid ever. For what purpose? Can you tell me that this is God's will for my whole family, including my stepfather, to be dead? After everything that you tried to tell me, you can tell me right now that Jesus Christ, the Savior of the world, is on your side. You tell me that with all conviction in your heart, that Jesus Christ is on your side right now. Please.
I can't tell you that.
Say it. Say his name. Say that he told you. And you followed him like exactness. Because I have prayed for you. I sat there and tried my best to forgive you and Chad and Alex. And I was deceived. And I was broken by my own mother. What are you doing? What are you doing? I prayed to Heavenly Father, and I said, you tell me, Father.
All life have all made instructions. They think they know what happened. They think
I don't care about other
they know
people.
what happened. They think they know who's responsible.
Do you know that you told me?
Everything.
Do you know what you told me?
You weren't there. So
You're right. I wasn't there. I was kept
That's
in
right.
lab.
And one day,
Two kids
you will know.
murdered.
one day,
Murdered.
you will know what actually happened.
You're right. You know what, Mom?
And we all will stand there and
Everything
we-
is right. You're absolutely right. He will convict the people who act in his name with pure blasphemy. This is funny? This is funny? This is funny. You're laughing like this is funny. How come your camera's on, Mom? You don't want to look at me in the eye? Why can't you look at me? It's just you and me. I'm in my house alone.
I love you. I always will. One day you will see and one day you will understand.
Go ahead and hang
I
up.
do love
See
you.
how that works for you. You gonna hang up?
I don't have anything else to say. You obviously don't know.
Let me tell you
You weren't
something.
there. You weren't there. Summer wasn't there. My mom wasn't there. The police weren't there. The FBI weren't there.
You're right.
Nobody
Mom was there.
was there.
Tyler and JJ, Mom.
Yeah, and guess what? They know. They know exactly what happened.
Backyard.
And they love me. And we're still together forever. They love me. And they are fine. And they do know the truth. And I know the truth. And we're the only people that do. So you can judge me, Colby, all day long. Go ahead and judge me. The whole world
Judge me?
has. The whole world has judged me.
Listen to me.
They don't
Hey,
know, and
please
you
stop.
don't know. You don't know what I've been through, and you don't even give a crap what they've been through. Nobody does.
I don't.
Except for me. I'm the one that knows. I am the one that was in the hospital with Tylee for hundreds of days watching her suffer. I am the one that was there doing everything with JJ every day. I was the one who did it all these years.
You did it all to throw it in the garbage. They're not.
You don't know what happened. You don't get what happened.
It doesn't matter what happened if they're buried in your new husband's backyard. Tell me that matters what happened. You tell me that you did this in Jesus' name, Mom. I have to hear that out of you. You believe it and you are not afraid. Every witness of Christ will scream his name when he comes back. So you are that person.
I am that person. I am that person.
Christ.
And he will come. Oh, yeah, Cole, because that's what it is. You don't even know. You weren't even there. You don't even know.
I say about fighting October, what did you tell me? What did you tell me? What lies did you feed me? Why would you lie to me if you're with the Lord and you've seen Him, and I'm just talking purely to you, and you've seen Jesus Christ, where's the fear? Why wouldn't you tell me something? Why were you afraid? Why is everyone against you? Why is everything against my mom?
You can be against me all you want. One day, we will all stand there with Jesus. We will all stand there with Jesus, and you will know the truth of everything.
Hey,
Not for me.
You're telling me that this was all done in light. Say it. Tell me that this was done in Jesus' name.
You don't know what happened.
Why? Why don't I know, Mom? Oh, because I was kept in the dark to protect me? You know who needed protecting? My little dead siblings. That's who needed protecting, Mom. This
Where were you
is
to
not
do that? Is that what you think you did?
You ran.
I hadn't been.
A month later, you ran away. I never wanted you guys to leave. I would have taken those kids in 1 second. I would bring them into my home, and I would have taken care of them. That's not even a question to me.
Yeah, everybody
You can't say that you know.
Everybody says that.
Says it now. Where was my offer?
I'm saying I did everything for them.
Well, me and Peter Griffin run away together in Hawaii? How about that? If you had offered me, you would have known. You cannot sit here and lie.
That's not everything. That is not the truth. Okay? That's what people are
They were
thinking.
murdered,
They're
twisted
assuming.
around, and you walked away. So
No, you don't know that. No, that is not what happened. That is not what happened.
You tell me what happened. If you can tell me what happened, then I don't care. If you can actually explain it, then it's different.
I would love
But you can't.
to talk to you about it.
Mom, you've been saying that you've been wanting to tell me for a very long time, and you never say it. You have no idea how much pain I have felt in my body. I feel like I could die. My own mom, my siblings, and my whole family, my dad, everyone is gone except for you, and you're in jail because of it. I have prayed to Heavenly Father Himself and asked Him to help me survive this. Do you understand the freaking earthquake that has been caused? Do you know how many people are hurt and broken now? And you're telling me that there's a reason? Why are you following Chad down the rabbit hole, Mom? Why would you follow anybody that is not good? How can you follow someone that cannot lead you to salvation in Jesus, Mom? You can't lie to me anymore. You can't pretend anymore. You can't hide anymore. If you want to tell me what happened, I called you for that very reason. You had enough condemnation for the whole time and eternity, but you're telling me that you're going to stand in front of Jesus Christ and you're going to be fine. Then I'm still praying for you. I am still praying for you. I don't know where the lies and all these things are written. I don't see it. I never have. The light of Jesus Christ is the most powerful thing that's ever lived. It's the most loving, embracive thing that has ever happened to this world. And I pray that you see Him and fall into His grace. I pray every day. I pray no matter how mad I am at you, no matter how bad I want to hit your husband in the face with a shovel. I pray for you. I pray for him. You ripped my heart out, and you ripped out everyone in this family's heart out. I'm going to be in Idaho.
In the time it takes you to actually board that flight from Group 8...
Now boarding Premier Altitude Elite Club members.
You could have bought a Hyundai on Amazon. Yes, that Amazon, where you buy everything else.
Mid-tier Altitude Elite, feel free to board now.
So while you're waiting for them to make up new boarding groups, you can order your dream car, and the dealer will have it ready in no time.
Now boarding groups 1 through 7.
Oh, so close. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details. Limited availability. Pick up through participating Hyundai dealer in select markets.
This week, you need to look me in my eye, Mom. Look me in my eye.
I think that probably sums up exactly how Colby has to be feeling, right? He's really come to terms. Well, I don't know if he's come to terms, but he's really realized, at least I'll say, that his mom, the only person left alive in his family, has been lying, and she's most likely responsible, in a big way, for the fact that he now has no family. Everyone's dead. Charles Vallow, the man he considered his dad, is dead. Joe Ryan, the man he grew up with, is dead. Obviously his siblings, JJ and Tylee, are dead. And now she's in jail. And I don't even know what you would say at that point.
I mean, you just have, he had so much trust, and you can hear it clearly in his voice, just how broken and I don't even know if you can find the words for it, but he's angry. He's angry. Yeah, no, betrayal. It's the ultimate betrayal. I mean, if you've listened to him talk about his childhood, of Lori being his mother, he talks about her in such, ahead of this again, in such just a loving way. She said that she did everything for them, all of his siblings. So going from, in this mind, your mom being your caretaker, the person that keeps you safe, to completely having that come crashing down and realizing that not only did she trick him, but she also may have murdered or had conspiracy to murder his siblings.
Right. Well, and then lied about it. And then then the bodies of JJ and Tylee are found in her new husband's backyard. They're buried on the property. There's just,
it's so much.
That's a gut-wrenching thing. And I think really hearing the pain in Colby's voice of, he just really wants her to say something, anything. Just try and justify this. Tell me why this happened.
And get a human response, a compassionate response. Even there's not even any compassion.
Right. Well, and at one point you can hear Lori laughing.
Yeah.
And he calls her out and he says, why are you laughing? Like, none of this is funny. Why are you laughing right now? And I think it really shows, where Colby is at, right? He's suffering. He's looking for answers here. And then B, where Lori's at, because if you're innocent in that case, and obviously where I really try and skirt this line, because you are innocent until proven guilty.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the way our whole system of justice is set up. That being said, if you're an innocent person, aren't you working hard to try and, at that point, to your son, to say, sweetheart, I did not kill your brother and sister. I don't know what happened to him. I'm wrongly accused. This is ridiculous. Something to put up some sort of defense.
Well, and it's interesting because she does that for everybody else except for Colby.
Right. And she says, what was really interesting and a little chilling is she says, you don't know what happened. You weren't there. Again,
insinuating she was there.
Wouldn't you have to be there to know what happened?
One would think.
Because otherwise, how would you know that he wasn't there? Or where is there? Right? Like that statement, while it's saying you weren't there, you don't know what happened, is also implying I was there and I do know what happened. And so she was kind of trapped by her own word structure a little bit, I think.
And this is really the first time we've seen her, at least directly, get caught up in her web of lies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think that's where that laughter started kind of coming out, is that she knows. Yeah. What can you say? Yeah. He knows. And so I think, that was a tough phone call. That was obviously my heart goes out for Colby, because I don't even know how you can process that. I'm sure he has a lot of therapy ahead after having to testify about your own mom.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
That was just on Tuesday. So then we go to Wednesday morning. Our chief photographer, Clint Richards, who was at the courthouse, caught up with Larry Woodcock, again, JJ's grandpa.
How are y'all doing?
So are you officially not going to be called as a witness? Is that how you're allowed in the courtroom now? I'm happy to see that you are.
As of now, I'm not. That is correct. So I can be in the courtroom every morning, when the court starts, and then obviously I can leave and come back every day.
How are you guys holding up?
A friend of mine made a statement this morning to us. He said, yesterday was so full of surprises, but yet no one was surprised. And I think that's a good summation of yesterday's court session. And I think we're probably going to see some more of that today.
Was there any surprises for you?
There was lots of surprises, but
like what?
Lori's tape.
With Colby?
Yeah. But I'm not going to go into it anymore than that, guys. But that was probably my biggest surprise yesterday. Good morning to all, and let's move forward. Thanks.
Yeah, Larry has been a rock, I think, through all of this, and my heart really goes out to him and Kay every time we see them. I just on a personal note, I had to say, I noticed and I'm not going to say who it was, but as he was entering the courthouse, Larry is such a kind and endearing man. Even in the face of all of this, you can tell that he's just a rock of a human being. A reporter, and I won't say again, I'm not going to call out who it was. I saw them give him kind of a half hug as he was walking into the courthouse, which, I think that really just speaks more to who Larry is, that everyone is really feeling this trial in a very deep and personal way. And I think Larry at least has always kind of been a little ray of sunshine through a very dark trial so far.
No, definitely. All right, so next up to testify is a forensic accountant with the FBI. This is Mike Douglas. He testified on Wednesday morning. Now, some of the exhibits that Agent Douglas introduced through his testimony, they show the financial records of Lori, Chad, and Tylee. Again, that's just primarily. Now, Tylee, we spoke about this earlier. She received Social Security benefits from her late father, Joe Ryan, who died. And then JJ received Social Security benefits after his father, Charles Vallow, died.
Right. I think this, I think everyone's eyes started to glaze over when they said a forensic accountant was here to show you exhibits of the financials. And then he really started getting into it. And there was some pretty interesting things that he was talking about.
Yeah. One of the biggest things, so we're talking about the Social Security money that Tylee and JJ both had. So Lori, what we found from Mike Douglas is that Lori claimed all of that money as her income on an application when she moved to Rexburg, Idaho.
Right. And I think that's really interesting because, obviously that money, it comes in to help take care of those kids.
Yeah. Kids are expensive.
Yeah, you're telling me. But that says a lot that Lori is claiming all of that income as her own. This is her income now.
Exactly.
And really that money is there to be in support of the children. But to say all of this money, like, this is my money, she says she's the one that earns all this money. Mm-hmm. She's starting to take it on herself. Mike Douglas showed how the money originally was set up to deposit into an account for Tylee. Mm-hmm. And it transitioned to an account that they kind of jointly controlled. Mm-hmm. And then it transitions into an account with just Lori on it.
Yeah.
So we can see kind of this progression in the timeline where it starts out as this is Tylee's. So, this is Tylee's money. It's there to kind of help set her up since her dad died. Now it's our money, quote unquote. Now it's my money, and I'm going to give you an allowance from it. is kind of the progression we see.
Exactly. And Douglas also takes us through, back when Tylee was making payments. Again, she had I believe it was her Jeep that she was paying on, and then one other thing. So you can actually watch those statements of that being paid monthly and then the changes as time went on.
Right. Yeah, I think it I think it says a lot about a potential motive financially here. Because Douglas also introduced some text messages that they were able to uncover between Chad and Lori.
Yes.
And these text messages that we're referring to were specifically about a week after Charles Vallow had died. Lori is texting Chad saying she's not getting any of the $1 million life insurance policy that Charles Vallow had. She did not realize that Charles, before he died, had switched the beneficiary to Kay Woodcock.
Again, without Lori knowing. So you can see that she's setting up kind of this nest egg or this plan for her finances.
Right. And then she realizes, because this is something Agent Douglas testified to, is that they were able to find that Lori had submitted a claim almost immediately after Charles Vallow died on that life insurance policy. She submitted a claim, which of course was rejected because
her brother killed him.
Right. Well, and because she was not the beneficiary.
Yeah.
She didn't know that, but she was not the beneficiary. And so, surprise, you're not getting this $1 million life insurance policy. She then texts Chad and says, well, at least I still have the $4,000 or $5,000 in Social Security income.
And again, specifying that $4,000 is in Social Security money.
Right. Which that kind of becomes an issue because she continued to claim all of that money after JJ and Tylee went missing.
Yeah. Okay. And also get this. So Lori also changed her own life insurance policy on August 12th to her son, Colby Ryan, the sole beneficiary. This was just a month before Tylee died.
Yeah. She removed Tylee and JJ from that life insurance policy. Again, just over a month before Tylee went missing. Now, a lot of this really, I think, is what the prosecution is working towards setting up. This is premeditation.
Yeah, again, yeah, that's exactly what they need to be able to in the minds of the jury set up, is that they were planning this entire thing. And really, the pieces of the puzzle coming together slowly. And yeah, stay tuned because even more pieces of the puzzle coming up.
Oh. Perfect. One other piece of information, a pretty interesting piece of information from Agent Douglas. He was talking about Chad Daybell and how he upped Tammy Daybell's life insurance about a month before she died.
Yeah, again, so this is September 8th, and then Tammy dies on October 19th.
Right, so a month and, what is that, a week later?
Jeez. All right, and then Chad receives his first insurance payment on November 1st. Well, that's what we know now.
Chad and Lori were married November 5th.
4 days.
So this timeline, September 8th, so a little over a month later, so he ups the insurance on Tammy. Tammy dies a month later. 2 weeks later, they're getting married on a beach in Hawaii, and at least presumably in part using the money
to fund their Hawaiian wedding.
Yeah. Dark. Just it's dark. I don't know how else to put that.
All right, so they're married on November 5th. Then fast forward to June 9th of 2020. That's the day JJ and Tylee's bodies were discovered. And then as they're discovering their bodies, again, the Rexburg police, the FBI, everybody is in Chad Daybell's backyard during this time. Now, Chad's in his truck. During this time, he transferred $8,000 to each of his kids during the time while police were searching his property. We actually have it dated and timed out. So again, the reason for a forensic accountant was definitely needed in this case.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think I think that's pretty telling. And there's a few moments that we're able to piece together so far from testimony from Agent Douglas and then from others that have testified last week as well. Chad knows the walls are closing in. He's obviously, but he's standing on his driveway. Then he, excuse me, he gets into his car. That's when he calls Lori. She says, "Can I call you later?" And he says, "I don't know. We're gonna have to see how this thing."
Yeah, we'll see what transpires.
Right. Yeah. That's it. We'll see what transpires. Then he hangs up. Then he starts transferring $8,000 from that life insurance money to each one of his kids. Why you would be doing that right then? What, the cops are searching your house. You don't have anything else you should be doing? No. This is somebody who, at least in my opinion, this is somebody who knows that they're about to get arrested.
Oh, yeah. The house of cards quickly falling in, transfers his money. Then also, if you listen to our previous podcast, we also now know that Chad left the property to sped away from his daughter's property across the street. So all of this, talking to Lori on the phone, transferring money to his children, and then he tries to flee the scene.
Right. I think that was something we covered in the last episode as well, but that was kind of an interesting moment where this is just panic, right? This guy is now sending money out to his kids.
And this is the first time we're seeing Chad panicked.
Right. Yeah, he'd kind of been playing it as Mr. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't really talking to the cops. He wasn't really answering questions. Especially as someone who thinks they're the self-appointed leader of the 144,000 chosen, God's people. You've obviously got a little bit of an ego.
Yeah, no, he says that an angel appeared to him and told him this. So again, he sees himself in a high regard. He's not your average guy walking around the street.
Right.
And then you see this and it all falling down.
Yeah, watching it all crumble was very, very telling. Next up to the stand, we had April Raymond.
Mm-hmm. Lori's friend from Hawaii.
Right. They met actually when Charles Vallow and Lori lived in Hawaii. They lived there for kind of a brief period of time.
No, definitely. And they also, too, attended the same LDS ward. So that's kind of how they came together.
Right. They became friends there. I think what was really interesting was how April was testifying about how she could see just from 2018 to 2019 these pretty sudden belief changes.
Yeah.
That Lori had, some pretty dramatic changes in her beliefs that she was espousing. And so she shows up, surprise shows up in Hawaii. This is while her and Charles Vallow are separated.
Yeah, and again, Charles and JJ not there during the time, just Lori showing up.
Right. She shows up. She tells April, "Hey, we're getting separated." That's when she starts telling April that Charles is possessed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the first that April's ever heard of this. They met at the same church. So ostensibly, at least, they had the same beliefs. They went to the same church. This is now something new that April's hearing from Lori.
Yeah, and also with this change of beliefs, too. So Lori starts to kind of try to bring April into this fold during that time. So, telling her that she's, that Lori's one of the 144,000, telling April that April should leave her children and with their father, and that she had already fulfilled her purpose in life, and that she had a greater mission. Now, again, this is Lori to April.
Right. We actually have that on sound from the court. Let's take a listen.
In the formation of the 144,000 who are supposed to shepherd in the second coming of Christ.
Yes, that was a conversation the first night that she stayed with me, when it was just she and Tylee.
Okay. And what did Lori Vallis say to you about that?
She said that she had been appointed leader of one of the 144,000 and that she was there to gather me.
And what did you understand gather you meant?
To join her.
Okay. And what did she say was going to be needed for you to do in order to join her in this group?
That I would need to be separated from my children.
Okay. Did she indicate why?
Basically that my children were raised, I'd fulfilled my role in their lives and that I had a greater calling, a greater mission to perform with her.
Okay. And did she indicate that what you should do with your kids?
Basically just leave them with their father.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty dark. And that's also pretty telling from how Lori feels about this, right? She's telling April, just leave your kids with their dad. They'll be fine. You've already fulfilled your purpose with them. You've got this higher calling, this like greater mission you need to be a part of now.
See, and again, it's this greater mission that they're trying to entangle others in. And it's interesting how it works on some of their quote unquote followers, the people they're trying to get into their sect. But for April, it didn't work.
No, she shut it down pretty hard. Also, Melanie Gibb makes an appearance in Hawaii.
Yeah. So when Melanie Gibb arrives in Hawaii, again, Lori's there. They seem kind of lock in step with these beliefs. Again, April really noticing that change in the overall belief system, again, from the LDS Church to now kind of what they're saying about zombies, the 144,000, the end of the world. Yeah, a big change.
Right. Oh, yeah. And so she brought up that Melanie showed up in Hawaii, and then they had gone to lunch, had gone to dinner, they were hanging out.
Again, very normal thing. It started out very normal.
Right. And now they're starting to put kind of the moves on her, trying to pretty aggressively, I might add, trying to get her to kind of pack it up and come back to
Rexburg, Idaho.
Rexburg with them. It's really interesting. I think this is kind of a pretty shocking piece of information to hear from one mom to another to say, leave your kids, pack it up, come with me. We've got this thing. We got this greater mission. You've already fulfilled your purpose with those kids. Now I have a wife. We have 2 kids. Mm-hmm. Obviously I have a mom. She has 2 kids. I know plenty of mothers like we all do. I can't imagine a worse thing that you could say to a mom than leave your kids. I would imagine I would get my eyes clawed out. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine trying to say that to anybody. Obviously, nor would I. But that's a bold statement to make to someone. But it's also a really interesting insight into how Lori is feeling about this so-called mission that they have, is that she's like, no, just
not a big deal. Yeah.
Just leave your kids, right? Like you're done with them. You already
somehow acting as though people are disposable.
Yeah. Disposable. That's an interesting insight. And yeah, I can't imagine. I think there's so many parts of this case. I imagine that's why there's been so much interest in this particular case, is that there's so many aspects to it that I can't imagine doing. I can't imagine how anyone could do. How could you do this to kids? How could you do this to these people? That it's, I think because it feels so foreign to the way that we think, to the values that we as as a family, as a culture, as a society at large, the things that we value, can't imagine doing something like this. And so it's interesting to hear it kind of laid out in just such stark terms like that.
Yeah, you can tell, again, the mental competency component of all of this really starts to, there's some red flags thrown. I mean, this is probably the biggest so far.
Red flags. That's a good way to put that. Next up to the stand, the state called Chandler Police Sergeant Nathan Moffett. There was actually a handful of Chandler police officers and detectives that have been called so far.
Mm-hmm.
All of them are there to testify on various aspects of Charles Vallow's death / murder. We should say that there are pending charges against Lori in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
They're pending, I imagine, because the prosecutor's waiting to just see what happens up here.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, if she gets life in prison, we'll see how anxious he is to try and drag her down there to charge her for something down in Arizona. But those charges are pending. But they are here to kind of lay the groundwork. Again, we mentioned earlier, I think the prosecution's really working to lay the groundwork for the conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Vallow died. Lori believed she was going to get $1 million life insurance payout. She made the claim just a day or two after he died. But an interesting thing that Sergeant Moffett testified to was that they found one bullet that Alex Cox shot went through Charles Vallow's torso,
mm-hmm.
right? His chest, upper chest, right? Then, and that one went through Charles Vallow and then went and was, I think he said they found it in a floorboard.
Mm-hmm.
It like buried into the floorboard. So kind of consistent with, I'm standing across from you,
trajectory.
Shooting,
yeah.
It, the second bullet was found underneath Charles Vallow. He was shot through the stomach.
Mm-hmm.
The second bullet was found directly underneath him. And Sergeant Moffett testified to the fact that that was consistent with standing directly over someone and shooting them while they're laying on the ground. That really, I think, was probably their first clue that this might not have been self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Maybe first clue of several. They've testified to a lot of pieces of that case, that investigation they have going on down there, or that they had going on down there. But that's a pretty dark piece of information to have revealed, right? That's one thing,
yeah,
definitely. At least you can get the idea, okay, this was in self-defense. I'm Alex Cox. I'm being threatened by Charles Vallow. He's holding a bat. He's already hit me with it. Which is all stuff that Alex Cox told investigators. He said that Charles Vallow hit him in the head with a bat, right?
Mm-hmm. That was his thing, that Charles was getting aggressive. So in self-defense, he shoots Charles. But again, self-defense, you shoot someone once, they go down.
Yeah. Or even if you shoot him multiple times, you're not going to shoot him standing over him, shooting into his stomach.
Exactly. The intention is to kill.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So just that whole case, they've been laying the groundwork, I think, for the bigger conspiracy charge. Mm-hmm. It started in Arizona, but it ended in Idaho. Lori was trying to set up the life, and this is something actually that prosecution covered in their opening statements, right?
Yeah.
They said, look, this was a woman who was trying to set up the life that she wanted. She didn't want kids anymore. She wanted to be married to Chad. She wanted to be set up financially. She wanted to have sex, money, power, right? That was the big headline. Pretty interesting revelation coming out of Arizona there.
All right, so David Warwick was also called to testify. Now, David's Melanie Gibbs' husband, recent husband, again, too, we want to keep this in mind. They hadn't been married long. He was also one of the last people to see J.J. Fallow alive. So we know that David was with Melanie when he went to visit Lori in Rexburg, Idaho. Now, again, David, Melanie, and Lori recording that Preparing a People podcast we talked about a while ago.
Right. Yeah. They were there they were in town for a Preparing a People conference. Is that what they called them?
Yeah, conference. Yep.
Conference. They were recording a podcast at Lori's townhome. And yeah, it was pretty interesting. David's an interesting character in this because Chad Daybell was really kind of, I think, putting the moves on David, trying to bring him into their inner circle. Mm-hmm. David had a different response.
Yeah, so from at least what we know about David Warwick, he's a pretty devout Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Lori and Chad moving away from that sect, kind of into their own world, I'd say. But Chad was telling David during this time that he was one of the 144,000. So again, we've heard this before. We've heard this spiel with a few people now. But David said he pushed back and saying that kind of claim would only come from an LDS prophet, the prophet of the Mormon Church.
Right. Yeah, he also told him that you don't have the authority to start gathering the 144,000. That also can only come from the prophet of the Mormon Church, right?
Yeah, and again, this idea of kind of being chosen. Let's dive in a little bit to the Church of the Firstborn, because this is when, during this talk with David Warwick and Chad, again, Chad saying that they're one of the 144,000, and again, David pushing back on him. Then Chad saying that he was actually from the Church of the Firstborn and that he had an angel come to him. I believe it was John the prophet, again, one of Jesus's prophets, John the Beloved.
John the Beloved.
Yes,
yeah.
John the Beloved came to him and told him that this was his mission from God.
Right. I think so. We've heard reference to this a couple times, the Church of the Firstborn. Yeah. So we did a little research, did a little digging into. We did a little digging into the Church of the Firstborn. They're also referred to sometimes as Morrisite.
And that's what I've heard before, was Morrisite, as opposed to Church of the Firstborn.
Right. So that's a reference. I think that's probably the equivalent of Mormon to LDS Church,
mm-hmm.
right? Because the founder, Joseph Morris, was LDS. Now he wrote a letter to Brigham Young.
Again, this is back in 1860, so we're going way back.
Right. This is a bit of an aside here, but just it ends up. Bear with us because this actually ties together here. Mm-hmm. So Joseph Morris in 1857 writes a letter to Brigham Young, who is at that point the prophet of the LDS Church. I believe he took over after Joseph Smith, right?
Correct.
And so Brigham Young, he writes a letter to Brigham Young. He tells Brigham Young, I am the seventh angel in the book of Revelations. And he wants Brigham Young to recognize him as such, right?
Yeah, and there are multiple letters during this time sent from Morris to Brigham Young. And yeah, Brigham Young, no response.
Not having
Crickets.
it. Yeah, not having it. Eventually, in 1860, Joseph Morris, along with his followers, are excommunicated from the LDS church.
Yeah. And during this time, he's at least able to convince, Morris is able to convince at least 300 people during this time to join his Church of the Firstborn.
Right. So so Morris and the other church leaders are excommunicated from the LDS church. So they Morris creates what he calls the Church of the Firstborn. His followers call themselves Morrisites. They end up meeting somewhere. Where was it? In Montana?
Yes, in Montana.
They end up meeting in Montana at, what was the name of that fort?
Hold on, I gotta look it up real quick. Sorry.
Let's see.
Deer County. It was Deer something county.
Yeah, at the Kingston Fort.
Hold on, I have to look it up or it's gonna drive me crazy. Deer Lodge County. Deer Lodge County, Montana. And for those of you that don't want to pull out a map right now, I just want you to keep in mind that it's down in the southwestern corner of Montana. You can actually get through it through Lolo Pass.
Oh, okay.
So
interesting. So, and that would make sense because that's probably obviously the closest corner of Montana to Utah. They were traveling out of.
Yeah.
Out of Salt Lake, right? They had just been excommunicated,
exactly.
So they would have been.
It's a straight shot up through Utah, southeastern Idaho, and then you hit southwestern Montana.
Right. So anyway, so they meet up at Kingston Fort. Morris and his 300 followers. Morris convinces his followers that the second coming, the end times, is so imminent that they shouldn't even bother planting crops for the season.
Yeah. So keep in mind, this is the 1860s. They don't have food production, distribution.
Right. If you want to eat, you should probably plant something.
Yeah.
Right. So Morris and his 300 followers, they don't plant crops. They pool all of their resources together. They're hanging out at this fort waiting for the end times. Now, Morris keeps picking dates on the calendar. He keeps telling people,
rolling the ball down the road.
Right. He says, this is the second coming. It's going to happen on this day, right? Well, that day would come and pass pretty uneventfully.
Yeah.
Well, each time, as more and more of these days of the second coming would come and pass without the second coming, more and more of Morris's followers start realizing, okay, this is a bunch of hooey. We got to get out of here. They would grab their belongings out of the pool, right?
Again, yeah, it was considered a communal living situation.
Right. So they would grab their stuff back and they would leave. Well, the people who are left start seeing that pool of resources dwindling, right?
Smaller and smaller.
Absolutely. So this ends up leading to what's referred to as the Morrisite War.
Yeah, kind of an internal war.
Yeah, and war makes it sound a lot bigger than it was. It sounds like it was more of a bit of a skirmish than anything. Joseph Morris ends up dying in it. Now, the interesting thing from all of this, and the reason that we're kind of going down this rabbit trail here, is that Morris believed in reincarnation. He believed in many past lives, right? He believed in the imminent second coming. He also believed and professed that he was the chosen leader of the 144,000.
Sound familiar?
This all sounds really familiar. When the more we started researching this, and it was literally just because I'd seen the Church of the Firstborn brought up, a few times now, just more out of curiosity. What is this thing? As I started researching this and looking into it, my jaw hit the floor. I was just blown away at the similarities in Joseph Morris to Chad Daybell and to Lori Daybell.
Well, and if you look at, because after this happened, after this Morrisonite war happened, people kind of spread throughout the area, some of their followers. And the interesting thing is it's so close to Rexburg, Idaho. Deer County, Montana, Rexburg, Idaho. It's a straight shot up from Utah.
Wow.
So again, you think of the people kind of making that pilgrimage or that moving through the area and the different beliefs during that time. And then we finally fast forward to now with Chad Daybell kind of espousing those beliefs through not only that, but he owned a publishing company that talked about the end of the world, this 144,000. So really, he kind of took John Morris's beliefs, repackaging
his
them.
Playbook, right?
Yeah. Taking them and then bringing it down to Rexburg, Idaho.
Absolutely. Well, and he even said, Chad Daybell even told people that we've heard testimony from that Rexburg, Idaho is protected and nothing bad will ever happen to Rexburg, that it's this protected sanctuary, anyway, just a kind of an interesting aside.
Safe haven, yeah.
But I think anyway, I hope everyone finds that kind of as interesting as we did, just the Church of the Firstborn, kind of these really interesting similarities that we see between Joseph Morris and then on to Chad and Lori Daybell. Yeah,
it just goes to show the creativity that Chad had in creating these beliefs, but also the fact that he was pulling from the past, and he's pulling from these beliefs of people that did break off from the Mormon Church,
right, and
kind of repackaging it in his own way on his own terms.
Now that actually brings us back kind of nicely back to David Warwick, who was Melanie Gibbs' husband. Because that's when he was pushing back against Chad, saying, no, you don't have the authority to do this. Now, David tells him, you don't have the authority. That has to come from the LDS prophet, right? The Mormon prophet. Chad tells him, actually, this is separate. This is a separate thing. This is a different mission. I'm on a separate mission. I've been anointed by John the Beloved. And I'm here on a separate mission. That is, again, side by side with what we see with Joseph Morris.
Yes.
Who is he was espousing beliefs that were not in the LDS Church. He believed that in the reincarnation, he believed in all these things. And then he said, hey, I'm the seventh angel of the book of Revelations.
Yeah, and for those who maybe it's been a little while since you've read Revelations, maybe haven't, keep in mind that the seventh angel in Revelations is known as human souls who've been endowed with heavenly attributes and then invested in with angelic nature and disposition.
Well,
so this is what he's claiming, is that
someone thought highly of themselves.
Yeah, there's definitely some delusion there.
My goodness.
All right, so let's go back to David Warwick, the last night that JJ is seen. Let's pick up with that testimony. So Warwick testifies that he saw Alex Cox bring JJ home around 10:30 p.m. while they were recording again their podcast. He says JJ was sleeping, being held by Alex, lying on his shoulder, and then he says that's the last time he sees him. Then fast forward to the next morning, he says JJ wasn't there and that Lori said he had a quote unquote episode.
Right. Yeah. He says that Lori told him and Melanie, right? They'd come down for breakfast. They were going to say goodbye to everyone and leave town. He says that Lori said JJ was climbing the cupboards, climbing the cabinets, climbing the fridge, had this wild episode, even breaking a picture of that she had of Jesus. But David didn't see any evidence of any of that.
Yeah, he said that the cabinets, nothing, it didn't look like it. Didn't look like anything had happened to the refrigerator. Again, this is a stainless steel refrigerator. We all know anything you touch on that will be shown off. So yeah, again, he's noticing nothing. Nothing is out of place, nothing different. Just that JJ's not there.
Right. And nobody would see, at least nobody would see JJ again after that.
And again, another thing that Warwick also testified that same night after they were done recording that podcast, he also says that he awoke in the night at some point and had a really horrible nightmare. So again, not sure if, he's supposed to be telling the truth. Again, these are people that are prophetizing. They believe that they're able to prophetize things.
Right.
And that's something, again, that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's odd. It's odd. It's, yeah.
There's a lot to that. There's a lot going on there. But I think the last guy that we're going to cover, obviously there were so many people that testified. They're really moving through. So we're kind of picking and choosing as we're going along here. But I think the last guy we're going to cover today was Rexburg Police Detective David Stubbs. He was called by the state to testify, right?
Yep.
Stubbs is interesting because he has been involved with the investigation from day one.
Yeah. So essentially, what Stubbs had for his testimony, he put forth business records, other documents. This also includes Amazon records,
right?
Insurance information, also the Spring Creek Book Company. That, again, that's Chad's book company that he has that he wrote many books through. Also, Tammy Daybell's Gmail account and her Fitbit information.
Wow.
So, yeah, a lot. He had a lot of information.
He had a lot. At the beginning here, David Stubbs was called in. The Arizona police from Arizona were looking for the Jeep, Tylee's Jeep. They think it might have been evidence in a shooting, involved in a shooting. They're looking for that Jeep. Now, they call Rexburg police and say, "Hey, can you help us locate this?"
Yeah. So apparently this, the Jeep had Texas plates, by the way. And this started on November 1st of 2019. I don't want to get too boggled up in dates, but the Jeep was found November 4th at apartment 175 in Rexburg, Idaho. Right.
Now, apartment 175 was Alex Cox's apartment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He also said that nobody ever came looking for it. They impounded the Jeep as evidence.
Yeah.
Towed it away, right?
Again, this is Tylee's Jeep.
Nobody ever came asking for it. No one says, "Hey, where's my Jeep?" It's gone, right? They towed it away. They impounded it as evidence. No one inquires about the Jeep ever.
See, and that's the interesting thing. So at the time, Lori allegedly saying that Tylee's at BYU, Idaho, in Rexburg. You need a car to get back and forth. Again, it showed on Tylee's statements that she had been paying on it up until she disappeared. And then, again, police trying to find it. Nobody goes looking.
Nobody asking for it. Now, Stubbs was called back to the house because Kay Woodcock, JJ's grandma, was calling police asking them to do a welfare check on JJ. They had not been able to get a hold of JJ. She's worried. They've been calling the police. They finally get a hold of Rexburg police and they say, "Can you do a welfare check?"
Yeah, and this is less than a month later in November again.
Right. So Detective Stubbs, along with a few other police officers from Rexburg, they show up at Lori's house to do the welfare check. We actually have audio of that body cam footage from when Detective Stubbs was there. We're gonna play that for you now.
Hi, Lori. The Raymond Police Department.
just talked to the guy.
What did he ask?
He was just saying that he wanted to do a well check every day.
So, Jackie,
He's in Arizona.
who's he with there?
He's with one of my friends in Arizona.
Oh, you got no bad. No. Come here. Come here. So,
Alright.
friends with.
My friend Melanie. Her son has autism. Her name's Melanie. I gave him all the information.
Okay, so he calls you.
Yeah. What is all this?
We're a little concerned.
Right.
Well, the officers who were here earlier were checking, and they kind of identified that something was going on here because somebody knew about a job, talked to him.
It's because a lot of stuff that's going on with your aunt. No, it's a lot of stuff. So.
Well, that's why we're concerned because it just was kind of weird.
It is very weird. I've had to move around a lot. One of my brothers is trying to kill me. Not the brother that was here. Obviously, he's kind of my protector. My other brother that was in with my husband, he was trying to kill me for my children. So, a lot of stuff is going on in this last year. It's been a horrible year for us. I've had to move around. And so, I was going to move back to Arizona. Put my son back in school there because I tried for the school year from the school candy. He went for 2 months and tried it, but he has to. Now, the person who called is my sister-in-law, but she's his natural grandmother. He's adopted by us. Okay, so her son, who's a drug addict, had a baby with a girl who's a drug addict, and they took him from, CPS took him, gave him to the grandmother she came from, and then she wanted us to adopt him, which we did.
Why us?
My husband and I, who died earlier this spring. He passed away. Since he passed away, she's been trying to fight me for him and being really horrible to me. She's got a paternal friend.
Okay, thank you.
That makes sense.
That's where I'm the paternal grandmother.
He has autism and ADHD. He doesn't really talk to people. Like he's very special needs. So I have him in a special needs school there. She was trying to. So what happened was my husband, we were married for 15 years and had raised all these 5 kids together. Switched his life insurance policy to her, right? To his sister, who got $1 million when he died, and we got nothing for me to raise JJ, and all the kids got nothing, and everybody got nothing. She got $1 million. So I knew she was going to try to sue me for him, or she got off this $1 million, so she can hire people to help him, and I have nothing.
But you have legal custody.
He's my son. I adopted him.
Right.
It's 2 years. We had him from the time he was 8 months old until 2 years old. She does nothing but wants to cause me trouble. So I don't tell people the truth about where we are and what we're doing because of those reasons. So I look like a suspect, but I'm a good person. Raised all of my kids. I've done everything that I'm supposed to do in life. But everyone's causing me trouble right now. So.
We don't want to cause you trouble. How did you get here?
We only been here since September. We moved up here in September. My daughter goes to BYUI.
Your daughter goes to BYUI?
Yeah.
Does she live here?
So it's been a nightmare. I'm moving back to Arizona, so I can go back to the special needs school. You can do a school here. It's too hard for him. He can scream, cry, take him to school. The principal would have to come out, try to drag him out of the car. Like, this is too hard. I just don't tell people where I am. I don't tell her where I am ever. She doesn't have any legal rights. Anything. Like, she's been horrible to me since I was 9.
My understanding, she never called me to try to get the child. Hey, I'm interested in telling that,
But she sends me these emails, like, the dates, and, like she's putting up court stuff, like, she's documenting. I haven't heard from him in all this time, and so I've told her that he's funny.
See, we haven't heard any of that as far as.
I'm just saying she's doing this as part of that, is my understanding.
And our only concern in this whole thing is the child.
I got it.
And so that's where we're at on the. And then we were just a little weirded out when, and what I understand now that you've heard your side of the story.
It's awful. It's just, I feel like I'm being tracked all the time. Like, why are police coming to my door? What did I do?
I said you're out visiting two guys, and I was assuming it's your brother.
It was just, yeah.
Who was the other one? The other guy that was his brother. There were two. Well, we had two detectives over here trying to
Looking for you a little while ago.
Oh, because I was at the store.
and they ran into probably one of your brothers.
My brother and his friend.
Who's that?
With me. Chad.
Chad.
It's just a mess. They're just constantly causing me trouble.
Chad. P-A-Y-B-E-L.
Is it not clear?
Doesn't he live like out in the, he's not the Chetty Bell. He was one passed away recently. Is that him?
I don't know. But it sounds familiar as an offer.
He's got a couple of daughters. Okay. All right. What? You need anything else? Sorry to bother you.
Thank you.
We don't mean to be a
I'm
problem.
sorry that people are constantly knocking at my door and looking for me, and I just don't understand.
I mean, you had problems with it. What we had.
Well, the reason I'm looking is the brother that was going to kill me, that was on email and text with my ex-husband, my husband, and he kept showing up here, so he found out where I was. He was knocking on my door.
No, this was your brother? He showed up here and was knocking on your door.
It was Kansas.
And you said something about you were getting threatening emails?
Well, no. Just after my husband passed, I found emails and texts between them that they were planning all this stuff to get rid of me. Well, that's why I'm moving back. I'm moving, and I'm not going to be in a place. I'm going to live with my friend, Melanie. Don't tell anybody her name, because I don't want anything in my name. I put the apartment in my name, but I'm staying over here with my brother because he trusts me. About me, so.
Back up. You know, you can call them. Take care of it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I just, like, it's just a nightmare. I mean, I canceled the insurance policy since my husband passed, so there's no money. What are they going to do with JJ? Like, what? Do you believe?
Yeah.
So.
Well, if you have problems, we're going to go to 3 calls. We'll come and run him off or something. All right. Get out of here, so
Thank you.
See ya.
Not.
Lori has said that JJ is with Kay Woodcock, and now, finally, that Kay Woodcock is asking for the welfare check at Lori's. Lori now saying that JJ's down in Arizona with Melanie Gibb. Right.
You'll remember from last week's episode, one of the police officers, that was Detective Hermosillo.
Yes. Yep.
Who was also there. He said that Lori said he was seeing Frozen 2 with Melanie Gibb. He even remembers the movie. Now, this is where Detective Stubbs says his spidey senses are tingling right now because every encounter they've had, because they first encountered Chad and Alex Cox, who were evasive and lying.
Yeah.
Police know that Chad and Lori are married.
Again, yeah, no, even though they are denying it to police, which is the best part, saying that he's a friend of Alex's.
Right. She says, oh, that was my brother Alex and his friend Chad. When police talked to Chad earlier in the day, Chad says that he barely knows her. So the police now are saying, okay, something's not right here, right? Nobody seems to want to be able to tell us where JJ is or why he's not not here right now. And you guys are lying to us about stupid random things, right? Like you guys are married and yet you're acting like you don't know each other. Why would random police officers doing a welfare check care who you're married to? Why would they care?
Exactly.
The lie is just keep spinning. This gets Detective Stubbs. He really said, that his spidey senses are tingling at this point. He says something's wrong.
Yeah.
We're getting lied to too much. Something's not right here.
See, and then finally, after all of this time, they finally get a hold of Melanie Gibb, and get this. She denies everything.
Oh yeah, she says, I don't have JJ. JJ's not with me.
She wasn't even in Arizona at the time.
Right. And she certainly was not watching Frozen 2 that afternoon.
Very quickly then, Rexburg police get warrants to be able to search apartment 175 and 174 in Rexburg, Idaho. Again, that's Lori's and Alex Cox's apartments.
Right. Now, there's body cam footage. We're not going to play the audio for that because really it's a video. It's not great audio. It's police officers and detectives searching through apartments. But some of the things that they found were pretty interesting.
Yeah. So that body cam video showing, there are keys on the counter. There's dishes in the sink. But when they go to the bedroom, there's absolutely no clothing in there. Nothing from any of the kids. Tylee and JJ's belongings completely gone.
Empty. Yeah, it's really chilling. And I think for police, if you were already kind of feeling, you're really questioning what's going on here, as I said, your spidey senses are tingling, right? When you start walking through the apartment, you're trying to find these kids and just trying to do a welfare check, and then none of their clothes are there. Nothing is there.
I think that's when Rexburg police realized, oh no, we're behind on this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're behind the 8 ball. And this is a much more serious thing than we thought it was.
The trial, it's set to resume on Monday, April 24th. And of course, our reporter, Angela Kerndl, she's covering the trial from the court each day. You can see her live tweets. You can also follow along throughout the week on CBS2 Boise on all of our platforms, our live blog with updates throughout the day. You can find that on idahonews.com. This is Gem State, the trials of Chad and Lori Daybell. I'm Sarah Jacobson.
And I'm Ryan Oswald.
Thank you for joining us, and don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you listen, so now you won't miss an episode.
We'll see you next week.